Hey, shalom, shalom. This is your brother Yashimai from the Jam Master Blended Camp. And before I get into this message, I want to start off by giving all praises, all glory, and all honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakadash. And I want to send double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone whom will and teach well, who are the true leaders of the Hebrew Israelite remembrance. The remembrance of this so-called blacks, natives, and Hispanics being the true Hebrew Israelites mentioned in the Bible. So, I wanted I want to put together a quick recap or a quick revisit message on the virgin birth. As we get into this week, people are celebrating this pagan holiday, which I'm working on a lesson on that too, which is Christmas. And one thing that always gets brought up is the virgin birth, right? And I'm just going to get three quick precepts and kind of expound on them and kind of break down some words here. So hopefully this is edifying. But the first question is this, the first question that has to be posed is this, um, I come from a Catholic slash Christian background. That's how I was raised, before I came into the truth. All praises to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. But um, that virgin birth was something that was always, he came perfect. He was born. What's the story? The story is that he's born of an angel and that, she was a virgin birth, the Immaculate Conception, right? Um, and after a while, when you don't really understand yeah, really when you don't understand the scriptures, you kind of just take it for face value, right? But then now, once we wake up to, knowing who we are and knowing what the scriptures actually say, that story doesn't line up. Okay, now we're gonna get into that, but first, the first question that I'd like to ask is when was there ever when was there another virgin birth? Was there ever another virgin birth in the history of the human race? The answer is no. The only time that you can find a virgin birth is when you go into Greek mythology, or when you go into these other pagan beliefs, that talk about half man, half God, you know. And one of the more popular ones is Hercules, So this is a quick summary here. Hercules was the son of Al Alcmene, a beautiful and virtuous woman. Her husband Amphitryon and the god Zeus. Zeus seduced Alcmene by taking form of her absent husband. So basically, it's a story about a god having sex with a human being and then coming out with, and then out comes Hercules. That's the only time that you ever hear about this, virgin birth, is Greek mythology. And so with that understanding, you know, y- uh, 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 we have to bring to mind that what is ultimately the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church comes, they're all Edomites, and these Edomites, believed in Greek mythology. And so when you go into the history of the Council of Nicaea, you see that in an attempt to convert Romans into Christianity, they would leave tidbits of their Greek mythology. And what is that Greek mythology here? That Greek mythology are things like the virgin birth, right? It really, I'm just gonna stay on this subject, but the answer is that there's never been another virgin birth, and the only time that you have heard about a virgin birth is when it comes to Greek mythology, right? Now let's get some scripture here. Let's get Isaiah 7 because this is where the promise was, okay? Because what's the story of Yahushua? The story of Yahushua is that he would be born, right? Right, and that he would come and that he would, bring us back into reconciliation with the Most High. So this is the promise, okay? So let's kind of take a step back and take a look at what the promise is, okay? Isaiah 7 and 13 and 14, it says, "And he said, Hear ye now, O house of David. Is it a small thing for you to weary men, but will ye weary my power also? So first of all, is he talking to the actual structure of David? Did did the prophet go up to a house and start talking to brick walls? No, because when you go into the word house, it's bayat, right? And that word bayat could mean a house, right? Well, an actual living quarter, but it could also mean a home or a house containing a family, or right here, a household family, those belonging to the same household, family of descendants or descendants as organized bodies. Right. So when it's talking about the house of David, it's talking about the family of David. It's not talking about the house of David. So first and foremost, this is this proclamation is being sent towards the family or the lineage of David. Okay. It says, therefore, the Most High himself shall give you a sign. Okay. And again, it's talking to the house of David. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Now, 7 and 14, was Yahweh's name actually Emmanuel? No, because we know that Emmanuel just means God with us, right? His name was Yahweh. All right, so, but Christians can understand this. Christians can see this part of this verse 14 and say, okay, well, it's just, God with us, okay? It didn't actually mean that. Okay. But that's not the only part in this verse that was meant to not be taken at face value. The other part of this verse that you have to do some digging into is that word virgin, and we're gonna get that. That word virgin is ilama, okay? Ilama. And just as you guys can understand that Yahweh's name wasn't Emmanuel, even though you guys still get his name wrong and call him Jesus, you can understand that part. Well, here's what you need to understand too. You also need to understand that word virgin wasn't an actual virgin. It wasn't talking about an immaculate conception. It was talking about a woman of marriageable age, man, or a maid or a newly married person, right? But it basically is talking about a young woman. So it really all that it was saying was a woman, that is of marriageable age. And what is of marriageable age? I'm gonna ask that question. Is there a certain age? Is it 18 like it is here in America? The answer is no. The marriageable age there is around the age technically of 13, because what is marriage? Marriage isn't a marriage certificate that's given to you in this Babylonian Empire. Marriage, biblically speaking, marriage is when a man knows his wife sexually. So so understanding what the marriageable age is, makes more sense. To like it. What I'm trying to say here is that now we can begin to understand what it means by marriageable age. Okay, so marriageable age, back then we weren't just sleeping with each other, just to sleep with each other. We would sleep with a woman for conception. For the woman to conceive, and that can only be done once she went into womanhood, right? Which is, had her first period, right? Because by then the hymen has developed, right? And so the marriageable age here is talking about is basically just saying a woman that can get pregnant. That's all that it was saying. Again, if you can understand that Yahweh's name wasn't actually Emmanuel, you also need to understand then, with that same train of thought, you need to understand that the word virgin here wasn't an actual virgin, but it was just a young woman that was of marriageable age. Okay? Because where does the seed come from? Right? Where does the sperm come from, right? It comes from a man. And verse 13 is telling you which house, which family is coming from. Let's read this again and let's replay some words here. It says, And he said, Hear now, O family line of David, is it a small thing for you to weary men? But will ye weary my power also? Therefore the Most High himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a woman of marriageable age shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Yahushai. You see how that makes perfect sense? How are we able to take out the word Emmanuel and know that it's talking about Yahushua, but you can't take out the actual meaning of Ilama? Okay? Now, so this was the promise. The promise was never an immaculate conception. Okay? The promise was that a young woman would give birth to our Savior. And now we're gonna go into Acts 2:30. I'm gonna get it in the blue letter because I'm gonna get some words there because it's gonna solidify this too. Again, the promise was that it would come from the house, the lineage of David, okay? And this is Peter talking after he's received the Spirit, on the day of Pentecost. And we're going to start out on 29. It says, Men and brethren, let me freely speak unto you of the patriarch David, the same David we just read about, that he is both dead and buried, and his sepulchre is with us unto this day. Therefore, being a prophet, and knowing that the Most High had sworn with an oath to him, what's that oath? What's that oath? We just read it in Isaiah 7 and 16. And then also in Second Samuel when he says that he will establish his throne forever, talking about King Solomon, but really talking about Yahushua, you know, it says, and knowing that the Most High has sworn an oath to him that of the fruit of his loins, according to the flesh, he would raise up Hamashiach to sit on the throne, to sit on his throne. I mean, that's it. We don't even have to break that down. I mean, we're going to, but it says that of the fruit of his loins, according to the flesh, he would raise up Yahushua to sit on his throne. So Yahushua was made according to the flesh. Now, how is any flesh made? How is any flesh made? Let's real quickly get Wisdom of Solomon, 7, because it says right here, for all men have one, Wisdom of Solomon 7 and 6. For all men have one entrance into life, and the like going out. Matter of fact, let's get verse 5. For there is no king that had any other beginning of birth. Right? Yahushua came into this world the same way that every man did, and the same way that every king did. Okay, but and there's I mean, Wisdom of Solomon, starting from 7, starting from the first verse. uh I'm trying to make this message short here, man, but I can sense that brothers are saying go up more, go up. I'm trying to keep it short. Um but uh let's get these words here, because he says according to the flesh, so he was made according to the flesh, like a man. It's okay. So the promise was in Isaiah 7, right? That was just mentioned, that of the fruit of his loins. Now let's get that. The fruit of whose loins? It's talking about David. That's exactly what he said. He said, "Let me speak freely about the patriarch David." So out of the fruit of David's loins. Now, what does fruit mean? That word in the Greek is karpos, and that fruit means it could be talking about the fruit of trees, but this is the one that we're talking about, right? The fruit of one's loins, his progeny, his posterity. Now, what's that word progeny here? That word progeny is a descendant of a person. So he came. So so let's read that back, because the fruit is the descendant of. Therefore, being a prophet and knowing that the Most High had sworn with an oath to him, that of the fruit, that of the family line of his loins. And that word is progeny. I've got that word pulled up right here. Progeny means that of his children, his offspring, his lineage, his family, his ancestry. So Yahushua, how could Yahushua come from the ancestry of David, which we just read? That's what the promise was, right? In Isaiah 7, we just read that he was coming from the house of David. So how can he come from the house of David? How can he come from David's family line if supposedly we're told to believe that an angel had sex with a woman, or just planted the seed? Like Mary. was impregnated, man. Where's the family line of the angel? It doesn't add up. The promise was that Yahushua was going to be the seed, the progeny, the family line, the ancestry of David, and we know that the man comes from the seed. Now, let's continue on. Let's get the word loins, his loins, okay? Because fruit is his family line, and then his loins is his what? His loins is the place where the Hebrews thought generative power or the semen resided. So it's got to do with sperm, right? It could be because the seed comes from the man's sperm. We've just read the promise, which is in Isaiah 7, and then we've just seen that after Peter got the Spirit on the day of Pentecost, that he's proclaiming this. And then if you don't believe that, we're gonna get Revelation 22. I had to pull up here. I think there was a word that I wanted to get. Yeah, right there, 22 and 16. We're gonna get Revelation 22 and 16. And if you don't believe the promise in Isaiah 7, if you don't believe Peter after he got the Holy Spirit on the day of Pentecost, will you then believe Yahushua if he tells you that he came as a man? Hopefully, and if you don't believe Yahushua, then well, then I mean, there's really nothing else that we can say to you. But Yahushua himself is telling you this. We're not telling you this. This is the scriptures telling you this. But more importantly, this is Yahushua telling you this. This is Revelation 22 and 16. It says, I, Yahushai, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. Right? And that angel goes back to Acts 2, right? Because we get the Spirit through angels. So everything that Peter was saying was sent directly from Yahushai. Okay? Hopefully you guys can get that too. But um, let's continue on. It says, I am the root and the offspring of David in the in the bright and morning star. So let's get the root, let's get the word offspring here. I am the offspring. Genos. What? Genos. Offspring means genos, and genos means I am the offspring, the family, the stock, the nationality, or descent from one particular people. So it's talking about I am from the tribe of David. I am genos, I am from the genealogy of David. Let's get that root word too. It says, uh, geno, genomahi, genomahi. It says to become, to come into existence, to be. So he came into existence from the genealogy of David, man. So there we have it. We have the promise. We have it in the New Testament. And we even have Yahweh himself telling you that. And more importantly, we have Matthew 1, the book of the generation of Yahweh Hamashiach, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Now, how can you be the son of David if you were, unless you can trace your genealogy, which we just read in Revelation 22, how can you be the son without a bloodline? Can you be somebody's son today, somebody's paternal son, without being related to the father? The answer is no. Okay, but it says right here, he's from the generation of David. Now, what's the word generation mean? Is Genesis. Okay, so he's from the origin of David. Well, wait a minute. What? That word Genesis means a book of one's lineage, which his ancestry or progeny are enumerated. So that means that Yahweh comes from the progeny, the family line of David, right? And we know that the seed comes from the man. So that's why Matthew 1 has all of this. It tracks down Joseph's birth. It tracks down Joseph's bloodline right here. And Eliud begat Eleazar, Eleazar begat Mathan, and Mathan begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Joseph. And when you work backwards, all this goes to David, and Jesse begat David. So Joseph is related to David, and the reason that the family lines are named off is to show that the promise is being fulfilled. What promise? The one in Isaiah 7. There is no virgin birth. The virgin birth was a myth created to bring in Romans into the Christian faith, right? And there has never been any other time of a virgin birth other than Greek mythology, which makes perfect sense because the Catholic Church is the one that started it, and the Catholic Church goes back to the Edomites, which the Edomites were the Greeks, and the Romans, which the Romans adopted the ways of the Greeks. It does not make sense. Doesn't make sense scripturally. It doesn't make sense genealogically. There is no virgin birth, man. I hope this lesson has been edifying. With that, stay shalom.